Okay, so I'm hoping this is recording. I'm not the most tech savvy, so bear with me. So today I am going to be talking about the push prep class through the High Country Doulas that I attended in Johnson City. The people at the push prep class were this lady named Chelsea, who was a doula, and then a lady named Kate, who was a pelvic floor therapist. So one of the first things that we talked about was activating our diaphragm and learning about diaphragmatic breathing. So the diaphragm and the pelvic floor are very connected. Your entire body is very connected, but we talked about activating our diaphragm to support our nervous system through labor. And the nervous system is very important because feeling relaxed and having a lot of oxytocin is very important for a healthy labor. And then the key to engaging your core and pelvic floor is to correctly engage your diaphragm during labor. Engaging your diaphragm can calm the heart rate and blood pressure, and it's through an active inhale and a passive exhale. So this is, I hope this works. So this is your diaphragm, this part in the middle, the very muscly part. And I chose this one specifically because you can tell that when you inhale and exhale, your diaphragm expands and then contracts. So another way to show this is when, I actually really like this one, it's when you inhale, the breath goes in and your abdomen expands, and your diaphragm actually gets bigger. And then when you exhale, your abdomen contracts and your diaphragm relaxes and gets smaller, and the air goes out your mouth. So it's a good, when it goes in, it goes like that, and when you exhale, it goes like that. Let's see. So another way to do diaphragmatic breathing is to simply put your hands on your chest or on your lower rib cage. I usually go like this because I find it comfier, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to go like this. It's just a little bit, it makes things a little different, but I'm going to show you. So with diaphragmatic breathing, your diaphragm, which is kind of here, and your lower rib cage will expand, and you should see the rib cage kind of just go this way. Like if there's arrows, they'd be going this way. This part is getting bigger. So hopefully I can show you guys well. Now this way I don't like as much. There's another way that I'm going to show later on, but this way there's a lot more attention in this part of the body. So, sorry, my shoulder, but your shoulders can kind of rise and start doing like a, which is not what you want. There should be a lot more focus in the lower part of your body, specifically. Sometimes you can feel like even your lower back get a little bigger when you breathe in with diaphragmatic breathing. But this is just another example to show that with diaphragmatic breathing, your chest or your diaphragm specifically should expand outwards in a like horizontal way. And then when it contracts, you can see it kind of goes inward. So the part I show later on is when I'm standing and doing some of the hip circles. I'm not sure if I clarified that later on, so I wanted to clarify it now. So laboring down is letting the body progress naturally until you feel the uncontrollable urge to push, and using diaphragmatic breathing. There's no active pushing in this stage. You're allowing gravity and hormones to do their jobs of naturally guiding the baby down into the pelvis. There's many positions of comfort here that are possible. We call those comfort measures. You can use a Swiss ball, a yoga ball, a birth ball, which I show later on. You use gentle mobility to open the hips, and it's a great time to practice breathing and opening the pelvic floor. Yeah, so these are yoga balls or Swiss balls, birth balls. So with a yoga ball, it's important to have a 90-degree angle for your legs. I call it like the Goldilocks effect, where it's not too big and it's not too small, it's just right. But a yoga ball or a birth ball allows you to conserve energy. It releases the pressure off your torso and perineum, and then you can preserve energy. And then standing can bring on the urge to push, and the gravity helps, and it can take pressure off your back. So going into pushing mechanics, this is where you contract your abs and allow your pelvic floor to open. So the core muscles contract along with the uterus. And what you can do is gently squeeze your core. But when I say gently, I mean don't even think about squeezing. Most people, actually most women, about 70% have an hypertonic pelvic floor, like an overly stressed pelvic floor. So when I say squeezing, I mean a simple like guttural sound where your yoni is still relaxed, but your core is engaged. And what you do is you breathe in through your nose and then breathe out slowly, relaxing, and your belly goes in, which is what I tried to show with the arrows, that when you exhale, your belly goes in. Yeah, so pushing mechanics, when you contract your abs and allow your pelvic floor to open like a blooming flower. The core muscles contract along with the uterus. You exhale and imagine breathing in a J pattern, which I show later on. And then the pelvic floor opens with breathing. You can imagine a flower blooming. You can combine core contraction and uterus contraction. And you can do a core contraction after uterus contraction to hold the baby down. And I say that because sometimes, or a lot of times, when someone is giving birth, the baby and the body will it will be like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, where because everybody's kind of trying to move through your bone muscles and your pelvis to get the baby out. So it can, the muscles are moving, your baby's trying to get out, but it can be almost like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Yeah, so this is the yoni, the pussy, the vagina, your sex, however you call your yoni. I say yoni because yoni in Sanskrit means a sacred place, and that's how you refer to your vagina in Sanskrit, and I think it's beautiful. But when doing these exercises, you can imagine your pelvic floor blossoming open like a flower, or you can imagine laying an egg, but I put a flower here because I thought that's a little sexier, a little bit more fun. let's see if I show this next. Okay. So I'm going to try to demonstrate the J breath. You can actually practice this breath if you're pregnant while putting your hands on your yoni to really feel the mechanics of everything. And so what you're going to do is each time you breathe in with that diaphragmatic breathing, so you're breathing in through your nose, you're exhaling through your mouth. Sometimes you can inhale and do a really guttural sound, because that is actually a really good way to contract your core while not contracting your pussy, your yoni, your pelvic floor. So you're going to breathe in and imagine your tailbone getting longer towards the earth each time you breathe in. And then you breathe out and your tummy goes in, and you imagine the breath going out through your yoni. When I say yoni, I mean vagina. But so you breathe in, tailbone extends to the floor, and then breathe out, your stomach goes in and the air goes out through your vagina. Now, if the number one most important thing for giving birth is not to have tension, the birth hormone is actually oxytocin. So anything that inhibits oxytocin, no. But what you're going to do is, and you don't want tension because you really don't want to tighten the pelvic floor. You want to tighten your core, but not your pelvic floor, which can be very subtle and a little tricky if you're a beginner. But so what you can do in the beginning is just simply breathe in, your tailbone extends to the earth, and then exhale out. You just imagine, like you just put attention towards your yoni and you imagine the energy flowing out there. And this is called the J breath because you are breathing in and then exhaling out through your yoni. So you can also, this is good to practice while doing bowel movements before you give birth. That's a really easy way to do it. Yeah, so just to go back to that point, doing the J breath is easiest done when you're not sitting because your pelvis is actually very contracted when you're sitting, and it's not very mobile or flexible because the ground is kind of pushing up against the pelvis. It's very contracted. And then the reason I bring up bowel movements is because when giving birth, like they say, like, how do you know when to push? Well, how do you know when to poop? It's actually the same feeling, they say, and it's the same muscles. And your body just naturally wants to push the baby out or push the poop out. But also, when you're going to the bathroom on a toilet, your pelvic floor naturally relaxes in that position because our bodies and our minds are so accustomed to relaxing our bodies or relaxing our pelvic floors when we're on the toilet so that we can go to the bathroom. but that's great for giving birth as well. Not that your baby lands in a toilet, but that's great because your body and your pelvic floor naturally relaxes when on the toilet. And the toilet bowl, since there's like an opening in the toilet bowl, it's not just like a hard surface all the way around. The opening relieves the pressure on your yoni. So anyways, going to coached pushing. Coached pushing can look like chin to chest, like what this lady is doing here, where for 10 seconds you do a big breath and then off, and then 10 seconds another big breath. But that one's tricky because you really should not hold your breath, and it puts a lot of force on the pelvic floor. Most people recommend spontaneous pushing, which can be about 5 to 7 seconds, because that's more of like a slow stretch, which allows your body to react better. Let's see. And you can always put a mirror or a hand on your yoni or your baby's head to know whether like what you're doing is working, whether you're pushing or your J breathing is working. And when you are specifically at, like, they call it the ring of fire, when the baby is right at, I guess like almost the lip of the vagina, but not quite out yet. They call this the ring of fire. There is a burning sensation. That is a sure sign that your baby is just about to come out. But in that time, in the ring of fire time, it's best to do like a panting breath. Okay, so partner support. The partner is super, super important. The partner provides comfort, hydration, calories, counter pressure to hips and sacrum, leg holding, perineal massage. You are your partner's greatest source of support. Let's see. It's ideal to start during pregnancy at around 32 to 34 weeks, where the partner can assist during laboring down. For like perineal massages, you can use lubricant, Vaseline, or coconut oil, or vitamin E, which can really help to just naturally relax the pelvic floor or get the pelvic floor ready for a large head coming out of your vagina. And then the partner can also provide hip pressure and support, leg holding, comfort measures during the second stage of labor. These are just pictures of doulas, dads, partners. The dads can bring like a fan or like a cold washcloth. It's really important to have sugar and electrolytes or shots of sugar. And you can even have like black sap molasses because it has iron in it, or bone broth. A lot of hospitals, if you give birth in a hospital, don't allow pregnant women to eat like denser food because they're afraid that the mom will throw up, or if the mom has to have an emergency C-section, they don't want the anesthesia to make the mom throw up, because then that's very dangerous. But like usually nurses won't mind if you eat like small chips and crackers, but that's why I say sugar, electrolytes, shots of sugar, black sap molasses, or bone broth, because they're clear liquids that you can bring into the hospital and can kind of replenish someone quickly. And giving birth is definitely like running a marathon. Your body is very, very exerted afterwards. Let's see. Okay. So I don't have a partner with me. I'm just gonna show you on the wall, which I'm gonna show you a move for when someone is pregnant, how to release pressure if they're feeling a lot of pressure in their ribs. This is almost similar to like a spinal decompression that you might see at the gym, but it's very simple. You just take your forearms, I'm not sure what part of your forearms this is, and you just put it on the wall, and you just let yourself release. I'm going to pause. So while you're in that position, that is a really good position to start doing some of the hip movements, like going side to side, doing the hip circles, or really feeling the J breath, or just the lengthening of your tailbone, the diaphragmatic breathing. It's much easier to do that in these positions than sitting down. I also want to mark that, so I'm by myself at the moment, but this exercise is really good to do with your partner or with whoever your support system is, because it can just create oxytocin and really good bonding hormones, which is really important for the pregnant person who's about to give birth, but also just for the family dynamics and the relationship as a whole. Okay, so I'm gonna do it. And again, as me being the pretend pregnant person, it's important to kind of try to release all the weight you can onto either the wall or the person that you're with. But for me personally, it's much easier for me to feel that J breath, for me to feel the lengthening of my tailbone. And I'll say this in later videos, but when doing these movements, it's good just to have, they're small and they're subtle movements, but you only need like millimeters of movement to create like a snowball effect for your child to be born into the world. So, I tried to get them all to upload. Oh, look at that. Now they've uploaded. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go here. These are the other videos that I made. So again, hopefully you can see me okay. I'm in my small apartment. But I'm gonna do another exercise that you can just do by yourself. And it's just the simple cat-cow. And I have a brace, so it'll be a little different, but a little modulation. But so the simplest thing of a cat and cow can help you feel that J breath where you are inhaling and extending the spine, and then exhaling, bring the stomach in. You can go from side to side. It's very simple. I encourage people to just play with it, like whatever feels good. I'm gonna be a bit awkward because of my brace, but yeah. And then the last one is just the hip circles. And again, with the J breath, I think a really easy way to activate your core while not stressing or like putting tension in your yoni is just to breathe in. Stomach expands, diaphragm expands, and tailbone expands. And then when you exhale out, you do a guttural sound. So breathe in. And you visualize or imagine, or just attention goes out through your yoni. Like on this side, you can actually see it better, but it's inhale in and then exhale out, because it is inhale in and then exhale, the stomach goes in and out through your yoni. So I'm about to show standing hip circles and just standing, like, I don't know, swaying from side to side, going left to right. Again, it's not about creating like all these huge big changes. It's really about small movements that create little millimeters of movement in the uterus, because that's all that you need. We're not trying to like shock the system. And I was also gonna say that as someone who has a period and then as someone who has anxiety, these movements really help with anxiety and with I guess just any type of stress you might feel in your womb. And specifically the J breath, I think that can really help just with anxiety and having deeper breaths in general. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this fast. I have socks on, but okay. And I'm yawning because these movements do make me a bit more relaxed, but it's also good to yawn during pregnancy, or during when you're about to give birth, because it helps you stay relaxed. And also a fun fact, most births happen at night because when you wake up, there's a cortisol strike, yeah. And then throughout the day, your body produces more melanin as it gets ready to go to sleep, and the cortisol goes down. So as the cortisol goes down and the melatonin goes up, your body relaxes a bit more because it's getting ready to go to bed. And because your body is relaxing a bit more, your body's just more ready to give birth, because oxytocin and relaxation are really important for giving birth. So right now I am doing just the hip circles. I'm going to take off my socks. Also, I meant to say a cortisol spike, just to clarify. I like to like bend my knees a little bit to have a little more grounding, but what I do is I like to go slow, and I'll inhale on like the turnaround and then exhale here, because I feel like here there's more opening and here there's more contraction. And then if you want to, you can do a bit more, see my hips start cracking, a bit more intense. You can make it fun, you can make it sexy if you want, but I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, and then hopefully I can still be heard with the screen recording. Oh no. But yeah, this is this is me on the birth ball. It's a yoga ball. It's an exercise ball. Yeah, I'm gonna show just going from side to side, and then you can also do like the cat-cow movements with just your upper body and chest on the ball. You can do a lot of comfort measures, like with a partner or on your back. Well, like kind of, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with it, but I'm just gonna show a couple. So this is going from side to side, and it's very relaxing even if you're not pregnant. I've never been pregnant, so I can't say how it feels personally, but I've heard pregnant people say that it feels pretty great to be on a yoga ball. And this is, yep, just going in circles. Yeah, that's kind of just what I do the whole time. I am, for the culturally significant part, I'm going to try to log on to my Pinterest page. Please work. Let's see. You get to see all my Pinterest pages. Yeah. So I am just going to talk quickly about the Rebozo. The Rebozo is a traditional Mexican shawl or wrap that's used to support and comfort pregnant women, particularly during labor and delivery. The use of the Rebozo is an ancient cultural practice in Mexico, as well as Latin America, that's become increasingly popular around the world in recent years, especially among doulas and midwives. The Rebozo tradition has a long history in Mexico among pregnant women and is an important part of the Mexican culture. The shawl can be used in nearly every stage of pregnancy and beyond during the postpartum period, but it's most often associated with providing support and comfort during labor and delivery. Now, most people will use the Rebozo. They'll get any stretchable, decent, sturdy, and long enough fabric, like at Joann Fabric. But there is a specific tradition. So an authentic Rebozo is a hand-woven 100% cotton wrap that is both thick and stretchable. Their knockoffs can be made of polyester or other fabrics. Rebozos, which are usually 4 to 7 feet long, so they can be wrapped around the body with extra fabric to spare. They come in a wide variety of colors, textures, and patterns that vary by region. And there is, so because of the increasing popularity of rebozos during labor outside the Mexican Latin American culture, it sparked a heated debate among doulas and midwives, with the main controversy being the concern that the shawls are not being used properly or with the appropriate level of cultural sensitivity and respect for the tradition. So I did just want to shed some light on rebozos. I wonder if this will work well, but yeah, so this is an example of a rebozo. Again, rebozos can be used for comfort measures, for rituals. This is an example of being used for comfort measures. And then, well, this is another example of just being able to hold your baby easily. But they can also be used for belly binding, which can really help to relieve back pain and and just help alleviate stress. All right, that's it. Thank you.